Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's got a chance to have a very nice lunch. I hope nobody had a problem with the coupons or anything, because those are the people that we want to talk about. Because the lunch over here is infamous for making people a little after the immediately after the lunch. But very happy to have all of you in attendance. It looks like a very uh, well filled room. My name is Arjun Sarode. I am the Chief Operating Officer and Resident Mentor at a gaming focused accelerator called Image Center of Entrepreneurship. And as we know that this panel discussion is about how an alliance between incubators and accelerators can support the game dev ecosystem in India on a more holistic level. So very naturally, the panel that I have with me are people who are experts in innovation in the gaming ecosystem altogether, and everyone's kind of coming with their experience, their expertise, and more importantly, their perspective. So we have a fairly geographically diverse panel here, and let's start with the quick introductions. So if I could just request Kato-san to kindly introduce yourself. So we'll do quick introductions in this order, and then we'll get on to the panel. Thank you.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Kenji Kato from Japan. I am owner of media in Japan, so recently focused in the indie game developers in Japan, and published some article for Japanese fans. And I also have a good interest in the Indian game industry also. So it's nice to meet you too. I'm very happy to have this talk with you. Thank you.
Hi, hello. I'm Shosato. I'm the CEO at Lodimus, but I'm also the chairperson for the SHIG incubation at the IGDA, International Game Developers Association. IGDA SHIG incubation is an alliance of the incubators and accelerators around the world from 6 continents, and we are currently working with more than 50 people from various incubators and accelerators. And today I come here in order to work more with Indian incubators and accelerators like you. So yeah, I'm really glad to HeartJC be here, and I'm glad to HeartJC talk to you. Yeah.
We're very glad to have your company, Sato-san and Kato-san, both of you. Thank you. Paul.
Hi guys, I'm Paul Ravindranath. I'm from the Google team, and I operate an accelerator program called the Google for Startups Accelerator that covers both AI companies, and we have a global program for gaming as well. So just here to share a few thoughts about that whole accelerator incubator ecosystem.
Hi, I'm Anuj Sahani. I'm from Crafton. I'm currently heading the Crafton India Gaming Incubator. That's we call it KG in-house. And so I'm been in the industry for roughly 15 years. And I'm mainly from the developer background. So I understand the overall ecosystem of creating games and how to get the game to the market and all. So I'm here. I'm happy to be here and help you guys out. Yeah.
Hi everyone, happy to be here. I am Deepak. I have been a serial entrepreneur across sectors. Gaming is a new sector for me, and I bring in experience of starting up, helping startups also to scale up. As of now, I lead a company called OpenPlay. We have been in the gaming space for over a decade, and we have been working on an accelerator program to be launched soon. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks, Anuj. Thanks, Paul. Like I said, my name is Arjun. I run an accelerator as well as a pre-accelerator or incubator called the Image Center of Entrepreneurship. We are a sector-focused accelerator on the AVGC and XR domains. So we help companies that are building something in the AVGC XR space, and also in computer vision and artificial intelligence. And we run a 6-month cohort during which we help them with financial support. We open a few more doors for them to get more financial support. We help them get mentorship from experts. We help them build their IPs. We help them with their statutory, regulatory requirements, law, etc. And then towards the end of the program, we help them demo their offerings to a lot of ecosystem partners at events such as this. We are supported. We actually have two pillars of support. One of them is the Government of India. So we're supported by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, the MeitY. And our other pillar of support is the Government of Telangana over here, again falling under the Information and Technology Department. Our CO is implemented by an organization called Software Technologies Parks of India, which has, just like us, about 15 other centers of entrepreneurships all over India, each focusing on various different domains, such as how we are focusing in AVGC. So that's about us. Very quickly setting up the quorum for this. So we have about 35 minutes left into this panel. There are a few thoughts that I want to discuss with everyone over here, but the gist of this is, from the game dev community's perspective, how can incubators and how can accelerators work uniformly in cohesion, in tandem, to grow the community as a whole? More importantly, let's try to identify what are the gaps that are preventing that ecosystem to flourish as much as it should have so far. I'm very glad that we have representation from Japan in the form of Kato-san and Sato-san. So my first question actually, is let's try to identify the differences. I mean, you folks have a lot of experience in dealing with gaming companies in Japan, and Japan, as we know, has been at the forefront of gaming since the rest of the world did not even understand what gaming was. Of course, I'm being a little parabolic, but yes, of course, Japan has been at the forefront. So what do you see as are those tailwinds that have helped gaming startups in your respective ecosystems work? So I'll first let Kato-san give some comments, and then I'll come to Sato-san.
Okay, it is a good question and very difficult to answer. Yes, recently in Japan, a lot of companies tend to help the indie game developers to grow up. So the Japanese government is not so working. So they have a lot of try, but not moving. So then the normal company can help it recently. So for example, do you know the Kodansha? Kodansha is one of the biggest company in Japan, as a manga or anime company. So they want to try to make a new business in game industry. So they want to help the game creators as manga. They have a big experience and a lot of experience to grow up with the manga or anime. So they want to say same thing in game industry. So this is a new challenge in Japan. So and also Kodansha and Shueisha start to like this challenge. This is a very good change or a very good try, I think. But it is just that, and we should keep trying, and a little bit growth, but it is very important thing, I think, in Japan. So,
thank you very much, Kato-san. What is your perspective, Sato-san, and especially because you come from a more versatile background, because you've not just seen how things are coming in Japan, but also in how the international gaming bodies, how are things moving. So the focus of this conversation is really to understand the nuances in contrast.
Nuance and contrast and comparison, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for a good start. Yeah, actually, I talked with, how can I say, more than 50 incubators and accelerators around the world, and it seems that there are, how can I say, big differences as well as kinds of similarities. What is the difference? When I see the, how can I say, incubators and accelerators in Europe, most of them are publicly supported. Meanwhile, in Eastern Asia, they are privately supported. Like in the Chinese incubator, like Indie Light, they are supported by a Chinese, one of the largest Chinese indie game Chinese game publishers, and also for the some other like incubator, like in the Philippines, called Mi Games. They are also supported by the somehow partly private agencies. So yeah. But meanwhile, when I talk with how to say Arjun and some other people before the how to say this panel discussion, we also found that how to say most of the how to say incubator and accelerator in India is how to say supported by the university, right? I think this is a very interesting uniqueness in this region. I think, yeah.
Right, yes. So it is a very unique point that a lot of incubators in India are actually supported by universities, but it's also maybe we'll talk about it later. But it's also potentially a cause of hitting a ceiling in terms of innovation. So hopefully we'll get a chance to discuss that. But Paul, obviously you come with a lot of experience in supporting startups, and through the Google for Startups program, considering that Google has its reach everywhere in the world. And what are your experiences in systematic differences between various ecosystems? And also, very quickly, if you have a suggestion or a recommendation about how the Indian incubators and acceleration ecosystem can improve to support gaming innovation better.
Sure. So the way I think about it is when you look about a founder's journey and look at all of the ecosystem and how it's designed to support the founder's journey, often people think of a linear journey when you're designing support programs. They think somebody comes up with an idea in the university and graduates, it becomes something else, and then becomes a unicorn. And all or most programs are designed with a pipelining journey in mind. But the fact is that entrepreneurs are at different stages at the same time. So you have people who are amazing student founders, you have people who are serial entrepreneurs, you have others who are at different stages. So when we build support programs in the ecosystem as a company or as the institutional setup we have as a government, I think it's important to get out of that over investing in one side of the pipeline. And the number that we were talking about earlier is and this data is about a year or a couple of years old, right? So in India, we have about 570 incubators and accelerators. 67% of those are university based. And mostly because the government has decided to infuse energy into innovation at academia stage, which is good and important, but at the same time has left a chasm between the incubation space and the accelerator space. So the accelerator space is mostly lots of corporate accelerators, and VCs and investors have their hands. And so when someone comes out of an e-cell, they thrive because they are able to make that gap or leap into that gap to a corporate accelerator or some other investor-funded accelerator program. But there is no segue in between. And therefore, I think as policy, it's important to think about this. It's good to have budget and grants to infuse innovation in student space. But if it's over-indexed, and sometimes it creates this gap where a lot of folks are not able to make that leapfrog into really successful businesses. So that's an area I think that both from the government side, we can do better. And as Google, not only do I operate this accelerator program for AI companies, we are about 150 companies in, but we also operate the e-cell level. So we are able to infuse the same kind of stuff that we push in the accelerator to student founders so that we can kind of bridge that gap. But I think it's going to take some time.
Right. That's a very interesting perspective that you brought in, Paul, and I'll come to Anuj in just a bit. But so I have the experience of some perspective over here because I work for an accelerator program that is some funded and supported by the government. So I'll give you both the sides of the coin from our perspective. First of all, I definitely think that that this is not anymore a wise idea to set up at a policy level to consider flooding universities with incubators. While entrepreneurship should be encouraged at the university level, at school level as well, this part of students' lives or this phase of their journey should be focused on foundational training. So what many of us would actually experience when we run proper professional incubators or accelerators, we would realize that while the technical know-how of making a product, for example, building a game, is very well done, but basic behavioral economics of being a founder, especially in countries like India where entrepreneurship has systematically been a tough thing to do. Growing up, none of us were encouraged, or most of us were not encouraged to take entrepreneurship. Everyone was said, let's become an IAS, let's become an engineer, let's become a doctor. So that there obviously has been a systematic trend which is thankfully changing now. The tides have changed now. However, my opinion is that universities are a great place to build foundational training. And then outside of that, when a startup actually comes to an innovation stage, when an incubation stage, that is when a holistic support system is required. By design, the flaw is, when I would presume that when a government at a policy level thinks, okay, we have to set up 500 incubators all across India, what is the easiest way for us to get? And obviously there are universities in every state, there are affiliated colleges in everywhere, and there is space everywhere. And that's how the incentives, etc., were designed. To encourage universities to come up with incubation programs. But then at the end of the day, we have to also think that who's running those incubation programs? And are those people who have any experience in actually in innovation, any significant experience in innovation? That gap in some places have not been filled. Of course, there are outliers to everything, so I'm not being generic, but in our experience, for example, BITS has a wonderful incubation ecosystem. In Hyderabad over here, IIIT Hyderabad has a wonderful innovation ecosystem. In fact, T-Hub actually started its roots in the campus of IIIT Hyderabad. So it started by design the same way as a lot of other incubation centers were starting, but then it kind of managed to carve out a larger niche for itself. So thank you so much for that perspective, Paul. Anuj, we've heard the Japanese and the international perspective. Krafton is also obviously a leader in gaming, and especially after your arrival in India. And I would presume, considering Sean is practically based here only, I would presume that there would be a significant amount of knowledge transfer in terms of processes, in terms of efficiency, must have been brought in from there. And Eastern countries, our Eastern brothers and sisters are actually known for operational efficiencies. That's the reason why my wife drives a Hyundai and I drive a Toyota. So what's your experience, Anuj?
So in that sense, that's like for our incubation program, that's also the focus where we are focusing more on the mentorship and our expertise in gaming. And we want to make sure that the knowledge we have as a company, we are able to transfer it to these incubating teams. And they are able to achieve success in a much faster way. Or else they are able to reach to a certain level where they can raise funds, they can grow further, or probably join an accelerator program or something. But so, as I said, that's the major focus for our program is on mentorship and making sure that we bring in mentors from our global Krafton network, and they're able to provide support to all the indie developers. And that's what we feel that is lacking here, especially in gaming, where we don't have good mentors or good support system to provide to indie developers so that they can expand and grow. We have great talent here, but what they need is a support. So that's what we are trying to provide here with Kiki.
Very nice. And that's a very interesting thought. So while you were talking about mentorship, right, I just suddenly realized that, on this side of this panel, the expert mentors are accessible, very easily accessible, systematically, because innovation has been at the forefront in the East, and then obviously Google has championed innovation over the last 25 years. And that kind of brought in a quick question into my mind, that for the entities that are starting off from here, not startups, I'm talking about the incubators and accelerators, and this is an open question to all four of you. Any of you can choose to answer, or more than one of you can also answer. How do you foresee that these expert mentors that you get in from all over the world, do you foresee that this mentorship should remain in silos, or should there be a more cohesive collaboration between incubators and accelerators together, while keeping the competition at one place, but also opening up a collaborative chapter, so that this expertise transfer can also happen? Open to either, any of you, and I'll let.
So Sato-san is an expert there. He's done.
Yeah,
He's done a. I think he's coming out with a paper, right? That's what I heard. Yeah. So, so I think one is when you talk about the game dev ecosystem, I think we'll have to also look at critically how far we have come in the country. Yeah. So, gaming industry itself is a very difficult industry. It's not a straight industry, because it's a mix of science, art, so many things come into building a successful game. And game dev ecosystem is at a very nascent stage in the country, and hence the role of incubators, accelerators becomes all the bigger, because you are essentially nurturing the grassroots of the game dev ecosystem. So from that standpoint, I think two things. Incubation is basically a very tailor-made kind of process. So how do you, I think Paul also mentioned this point, that there are so many different categories of people who will come into an incubator or accelerator. So how do we create access to a network for them? Because that's fundamentally very important. I have met over 100 game devs over the last few months, and I've seen that everybody seems to have a difficult problem. But then if you look at it, it's basically the fact that they have not had the awareness or access to somebody who can really make that problem simplified and give them the solution. So network access is one major part of incubation, and that would only come when there is alliances and partnerships between incubators which are existing, between incubators, industry, academia, government. So multiple stakeholders have to come in, and that access would create that kind of enablement which a startup, a game dev startup needs. Second part is the mentorship, which Anuj mentioned. I think mentorship is a very, very important part of any journey, but especially again in game dev part of India. Today we don't know, many of us don't even know how the best of studios are run globally, right? What are the best practices? What are the benchmarks? What are the mistakes to avoid? So I think that playbooks which have been created across the globe, and which are today we as a country are seeing this action, like IGDC is a testimony to how buzzing this Indian gaming ecosystem is today. So that mentorship, how do you create those structured mentorship? Because you cannot really then have an individual mentor so how do you create cohorts? How do you give those mentorships across different dimensions? I think that plays a big role.
Yeah, but interestingly, I also want to bring up I just want to circle back from what Paul was saying, that the entire incubation and acceleration funnel that has been designed, it's designed in a very linear way. It's almost like, how you would envisage a policy-making person would kind of think that, we'll do the primary school, then we'll do middle school, then we'll do high school, then we'll do college, then we'll do university, and so on and so forth. But the reality is that there is a lot of diversity in terms of when innovation can happen. So Paul was mentioning, and I'm sure we would also see that there are folks that are able to become successful entrepreneurs in their early 20s. This, for example, And then there are people who get the first taste of success after they've already built a successful career working elsewhere, right? So we've got a lot of people in history, an example, who have achieved success in late 50s and late 60s. So a pipelined roadmap may not necessarily be very fit. So the point I'm trying to come to is then how, when we talk about mentorship, how useful in your experience and in your perspective has been is the personalization in mentorship? Because in one cohort, I can have both the people. I can have the entire range. I can have someone who's 19 years old, just drop out from a college and building up a AAA game just because this person has played a lot of games. And on the other side, I may have someone who is 48, 49, who has seen how the world works and then using that knowledge to create something on their own. And there's going to be a difference in knowledge and in passion in the entire spectrum. So can this framework, instead of being a two-dimensional framework, can it be a multi-dimensional framework where personalization can help, and how can it be integrated into incubation program? I apologize if it has become a little complicated, but I'm sure everyone kind of understands the nuances.
No, I totally agree, but that's what our focus is also. We want to customize mentorship for each team separately. So we'll sit down with the team, we'll discuss what they are lacking, where they need support, what kind of support they need, because they might be at different stage of game development. Based on that also they need. We can't go linear with each team based on what stage they are, based on what concept they are working on, what genre. There are multiple things which we need to look into. And based on that, we need to connect mentors and customize the plan accordingly for them.
Right. Paul, what's your perspective?
So, the question is, what does a mentee understand mentorship to be? Sometimes it's advisory, sometimes it's consults, sometimes it's coaching, other times it's actually true mentorship. So that is very hard. It's a very hard problem. By the way, like mentor matching is an art. It is definitely, I've tried multiple tools of automatic matching, adding, try to use AI. It doesn't work, right? I mean, it makes the process a little more efficient, but the outcomes of a personal, informed match is nothing like anything else. I think the question for incubators, accelerators, and enabling ecosystem to consider is how much investment do you need to make in a company, or how much time you need to invest in doing the right match. Because if you're earlier in the funnel, you might need advisory. You might need somebody to just show you between two options, which is the better option. But at a different stage, you need a different kind of mentorship. I think identifying that is the role of the programs team that designs and operates the incubator or the accelerator. And it's my very strong opinion that every incubator is as good as the team that runs it. So how many founders you have, or the founder mindset people you have, how founder friendly it is, and so on and so forth. So we've had some success with some scale where we have mentors making time available on a self-service kind of a platform, and mentees picking and choosing. But we do training on how do you make the best of a mentorship session. What does it really mean? So that we have to protect the mentor experience. I think mentor's time is really important. So we have to protect that experience because we have a lot of demand and limited supply. So I think we try to bring some nuance into these experiences so the value is optimal on both sides.
Right. So staying on that note, my question is for Kato-san. We spoke about, Paul spoke about, putting an industrious, intelligent effort in the mentor matching. Because if a startup is connected to the wrong mentor, both the mentor and the mentee the mentor will feel that their time has been wasted and the mentee will feel that a value add has not been done. In your experiences, how can feedback loops, what kind of feedback loops can be used to improve this efficiency? Because generally, when things will start on a theoretical level. All right, we'll do a gap analysis, we'll do a midway check-in, and we'll try to understand what you're missing. And then most of these decisions will often be taken by a person. And like Paul was saying, your team, how efficient your incubator is essentially a direct correlation of how efficient your team is, what is their pedigree. So staying with the point that we need to focus our energies into matching the right mentees with the right mentors. What kind of suggestions would you have?
Yes, in my experience, mentor is very important for creators because creators have talent to develop good games, but on the other hand, no skill to live. So, for example, to earn money, they don't have no interest to earn money. So this is a very important thing. So mentors should say how to live or how to make his life. So this is a very deep problem. So I believe that the one way is keep in touch deeply, and the number of the conversation is very important. So they won't be alone, the creators, but they want to be don't want to be alone. So sometimes, so this is very sensitive. So we mentor should we feel the situation of the mind of the creator. This is very important. This is not so easy. That's why we want to keep in touch a lot of time and accept the call in even it is midnight. So we awake and answer sometimes and always. So this is a simple way to create the trust between creators and mentor or accelerator. Yes, and the first step is very important. So why I can help you? So why you should believe me? This is a very important thing.
Yeah.
So, Arjun, I'd just like to add here. I think Shato-san, what he meant, Kato-san, what he mentioned is essentially the core of mentorship, which is the trust. Connect and the trust. So what we have been trying to build, like I said, that we are our acceleration, the program which we are about to launch is in the works. But what structured? So what we have been working very hard in is this mentorship, and how do you create mentorship as a program, which is very difficult. Matching is difficult. And so what we have done is we have built like a matrix. Let me just try to explain it. So one thing which we have done is problem statements, listing down the standard statements or problems which different, which are common across themes, for example. For example, early stage game dev were excited about doing something. We were thinking about even a session to kind of educate them of different genres, different markets, how space is working, what is the kind of business potential. So we have identified these different streams around monetization, product, game design. So this becomes common themes where education and training becomes one level of mentorship. And then as the cohorts start evolving and as you go through the journey, then you start having a more tailor-made, a customized, where there is a mentor who is personally kind of mentoring you. So like basically capability streams to start with, awareness, education streams, and then going into a more personalized streams as you grow further and reach closer to the market when you want to hit a publisher, you want to raise your funding. So that those problems are perhaps more customized and needs proper solutions.
So it's
it is Sato-san's answer because he's Japanese also, and he knows global standard position.
Yeah, actually, how can I say? In my opinion, how can I say, the mentorship is divided into the two parts for the gaming: development mentorship and business mentorship. And especially in view of the business mentorship, how can I say, collaboration or the how can I say alliance of the how can I say incubators and accelerator is very important. Yeah, for example, from the Western point of view, it's difficult to connect with how do you say the mentors who knows a lot about the Japanese localization, Chinese marketing, or the Korean publishing. But meanwhile, for example, in the Eastern, for example, in the Japanese people, it's difficult to find a mentor who knows a lot about the how do you say American comic style graphic artist or such things, right? Yeah, so that's why how can I say in view of the business of mentorship, how can I say such how can I say collaboration and alliance is super important. And I'd like to add one more thing. Although the relationship among the education institute and incubators and accelerator and VC is super important, in order to make, according to the how can I say your term, founder's journey, in order to make the founder's journey such a how can I say the tight relationship with these things are very important. For example, the founders started from the educational institute, then going to the incubator in order to found their business. After that, in order to grow their business, entering the how can I say they enter the acceleration program. Then, in order to how can I say growth up, they will work with VC and so on. Yeah, it's just a how can I say one just a how can I say one how can I say example of the career, but I think it shows the how can I say potential of the working between the incubator, accelerators, and other stakeholders. Yeah.
All right, so I think we're just about to run out of time, I'm not sure what is the schedule for this room, but I have to be in another panel session. But there's a question that's been, there's a thing that's been troubling me ever since this session began, and I can't in good conscience leave this panel without addressing that. So let's talk about let's address the elephant in the room. I counted 9 women in this room and absolutely 0 in this panel. Naturally, we started this conversation with me doing a gaffe saying that we have a very diverse panel, and then I immediately tried to correct myself saying that we have a very diverse geographical panel. But this is a problem. This is not something that's by chance. This is by design. Entrepreneurship, innovation, and that's as of today. Maybe 30 years, 40 years ago, it was just being in the workforce, being in the education sector, being in the education stream was systematically difficult. So I have one question, and I want to, in the interest of time, I'll just go straight to Paul because he comes from an organization that has spearheaded the D&I cause. Paul, what can we do at a systematic level in various incubators and accelerators to encourage and flourish diversity and inclusion altogether into the innovation space, please?
I think before the what, I think the why is important. So I always quote this story, and I've said this before. Did you all know that till 2011, crash test dummies were based after the male form? Till 2011, that's like just a decade in, right? And then, because the physics of a crash, the female form responds very differently. In 2011, that was changed. And now today, all cars are safe, but you can say safely till that time only cars were perhaps only half safe. And right now, post-pandemic, we are on an innovation cycle all over the world, right? Especially as startups. For any innovation cycle, for any startup ecosystem to be equitable, it has to have representation from across users as well as entrepreneurs. And that's the why, right? We need to have more women contributing in this space in order for us to be having innovation in an equitable way. The what of it, I think everyone takes a different approach. I strongly believe that entrepreneurial problems are not very gender specific. There are a few things that we've found through research that may be very specific when there are women founders involved, but they're not core entrepreneurial issues. So I feel like there needs to be a lot of focused programs that are directed towards women founders. A lot of folks say don't do women only programs, but I think the signal that sends when a really successful accelerator or incubator decides to focus a cohort on only women founders is very strong. And to create more powerful stories and pull more people in, I think is very important. And therefore, I say that, I know our time's up, I say that every accelerator or incubator should have some dedicated focus so that we can get more women founders into the general entrepreneurship space.
All right, thank you very much. We'll try to stay on time, but this has been a great panel. I am very, very grateful for all the insights and experiences and perspectives that we've got. Deepak, thank you so much for bringing in the perspective from India's stalwart of gaming and your own experiences as a startup founder as well. Anuj, I appreciate you sharing the insights about how you are approaching at the Crafton incubator, how you are approaching innovation from your perspective. Paul, thank you so much for that beautiful story about the crash test dummies, and I'm glad. I was not aware of this. I'm glad that cars are safe, but I hope that that entrepreneurship ecosystem will become a safe space and a flourishing space for everyone.